Right, hello everybody and welcome to FRL SimNet's Super Sprint Sunday. We are here round 3 at the Valencia GP circuit. Joining me along for the ride is Mr. Jack Prentice. How are you doing this evening, pal?
Good evening, pleasure to be here as always, and something I'm very much looking forward to here. A very tight track that doesn't forgive mistakes, so should provide a great evening's entertainment, I'm sure.
Yeah, so it's not a typically a GT3 track or an F1 track. This is primarily a bike circuit, so the twists and turns and the track limits are owed, and the drivers will find very handy as they do stretch the limits, especially into Sector 1. But with the sprint qualifying format that we've got ready for you tonight, they may not want to risk it quite that much. So what we've got in store for you this evening, shown on the right-hand side, is a 15-minute quali, but I did say one shot, and the way we're doing it in one shot is that all drivers have one opportunity within that 15 minutes to go and set their one flying lap. So they get their out lap, they get their flying lap, and if they validate, that is it. They go back into the pits, and they will start somewhere akin to the back of the grid. That will set the grid for the race 1, which is a straight-out sprint for 20 minutes, and then that will set a reverse grid for the race 2, which does have one mandatory pit stop for 40 minutes. So out of that, thank you, Ghosty. Thank you for wishing as well. So yeah, 40 minutes with a mandatory pit stop with a reverse grid of the drivers that completed 75% of the grid. So whilst we are counting down into our qualifying session, I believe Jack has got the standings for you from last round.
I do indeed. So we're going to start with the AM Championship. And starting right from the top, we've got Alexander Kalugin in the Porsche. The Russian Rocket has currently got 27 points from the first 2 rounds, followed by Jordan Marshall, the Frenchman, in second place on 25. Gav Cherry Moore in third on 22, followed by Jamie Thacker. Paul Trotman in fifth. Michael Cochran's in sixth, ahead of David Fass in seventh. Eighth is Danny Felix. Ninth, Daniel Duda, the pole having had 30 points lost for a starting infringement in the first race in the Kamot at Nürburgring. We've got Dale Kelleher in 10th, ahead of Piotr Spazniak, the newcomer, in 11th place, with Darren Mark Davies in 12th in the AM class, a former commentator, with Marnix Herc, who's a new entrant, hopefully in 13th. Going from silver then, we're going to take a look here, and it's another very hotly contested top 3, with Nikita Chekmatov, the Serbian, in the Lexus, currently leading on 26 points, ahead of Johnny Sharp. 1 point behind in the Ferrari, he's on 25. Daniel Starkloff in third on 22. He's graduated from AM from last season, ahead of Brooklyn Donkin in fourth. Lee Colpitts in fifth, ahead of Luke Richings in sixth. Alexei Yablonsky in seventh, ahead of Chris Gebman in eighth. Serafino Gabino in ninth, and Reinhard Servantine in 10th. Maximilian Morniveg is the first outside the top 10 in 11th place, with Michel van der Waal in 12th. Marcelin Brush-Tully in 13th, with Marcolino in 14th, looking to build on Misano last week. And then it's the one that you've all been waiting for in Pro. So at the top of the standings, perhaps not a surprise, is Fabio Travaglioli, the Italian who's missing today for a personal event. He's leading on 28 points, ahead of Jared Vermeulen in second on 26, back after missing last week. Adam Sharp is third on 25 points. Gordon Brown is fourth on 21 points, ahead of Jay Wazza in the Bentley in fifth. Daniel Crossman, who's in sixth after being quite quickly scooted up from AM into Pro, with a ninth and a second from last week. Andrew Eden in seventh, with Matteo D'Amica in eighth. Morgan Grace in ninth for in the Porsche 992, car number 14, and Wouter Heymans in 10th. Mr. Overtake is 11th, ahead of Paul Vidler in 12th. Baclav Poshmichil in 13th, with Francois Dupont in 14th. Lou Prentice has left the championship in 15th, and Josh Clayton is a non-starter currently. Now, I referenced a couple of top drivers or a couple of drivers in the top 2 positions who have missed a race. That's because of a dropped score system, which means that we won't 100% know the champion until the very end. So drivers automatically on SimGrid drop their worst score, their worst round. So that table, those standings will change over the coming couple of weeks.
So I'm a big fan of the drop round. I think it really enables drivers to actually really not only eradicate their worst result, but also really encourage them to finish the rounds. If you don't finish your round, if you elect I've had too much damage, I want to go into the pits and just retire, then you're essentially making your worst round a 0 point scoring round. Whereas if you go on to finish, you've always got opportunity that your worst round will be a point scoring round. So we have just finished a lap with Jared Vermeulen. He's gone P1 as expected with a 1:31.0. Other cars coming round towards the line. I think that was car number 8. That's of Zabazniak with Starclough narrowly behind him. Other cars coming around. So we are struggling with a glitch in the game at the moment. With those not changing from the blue dots to the grey dots to let us know where they're going to be. Danny Davis goes P5. Then Duncan goes P4. Just pips in there by about just over half a second. Got car number 2 coming towards the line as well. That's Brush Tully. Car 999. That's De Bont letting himself get split from Vermeulen in the Pro Tier with Starclough in between them. We've got car 32 coming towards the line now. If I can find them.
I think that's Wazza in 14th.
Got him. So Wazza, one of the podium bouncers, as I like to refer to them, from Pro with the Bentley, which won't be too spoil suited in the track, but he'll be enjoying the power roundabout now. And he's going to put himself, he's just going to start a lap. What he's going to do, he's going to put himself on a lap. So round he goes, first turn, flashes the car coming out of the pits saying, get out of my way. She chooses not to abuse the track limits around turn 1 and heads into car number 2, Doohan. And then flies out of there and then spots a little bit of a lift. And down the hill into turn 4. Try and carry as much speed as you can because you can really carry it to here. But then it's a greater than 90-degree corner. Really slow the car down. Let it run out wide and then pull it back towards the right. You can really get as close to the rumble as you can. Now use the camber of the corner. Swing it around. He's gone a little bit wide there, but he finds himself on the outside rumble curbing, which is just fine. Now he drops through 7, which is almost not a corner even in these cars. Now, when the trickiest section on the track for the Bentley, turns 8, 9, 10 and 11, highly technical, crossing the track over and over again. Get on the green, it's all in track limits. Then drop down and now heavy braking through turn 11. Now a little bit of power can be applied here as he heads towards turn 12. Now the suspension of the Bentley should ride these curbs nicely. Yeah, look at that. Still well controlled even when he took the dip in the track for the alternative circuit layout. Now nice and easy, rounding turn 13. Take a nice wide... Oh, but he's totally missed the apex on that exit the final corner. He's going to pick up the power all the same, and he's going to put himself in P4 all the same, so slightly behind De Bont by about 0.2.
I think it was a really good lap from Starclough, wasn't it? Certainly closer to his practice run. So let's see if we've got another one. I think that's Surf and Tate coming across the line. I shall throw to you now.
Yep, so just coming towards the line, we missed most of his lap, but he is going to run back to dry again. He's going to commit to a lap. I think we've got 117 coming around. There's a lot of 1s and a lot of 7s in this list, but
that's Donkin, but I think he's already set a time, so if he's any sense, he will pit. You've just been caught red-handed, I'm afraid, Brooklyn. So something for the students to perhaps take a look at there. But very rare, the qualifying issues, as I think now we do have Darren Mark Davies, who's also potentially about to incriminate himself across the line. Don't think we're doing these drivers any favours.
And that is a pit lane start, unfortunately. So the way we are enforcing the one-shot quali, he will experience a pit lane start, because not only did he complete a lap, he improved a lap. And we have now Lino coming towards the line in his Ferrari, and he's going to start a lap as well. What about car number 84? That's Crossman. So, actually, you know what, let's have a lap with Crossman, because last week he really did set the timing screens alight. And he's going to commit himself in a Mustang, just like the Bentley. A big, weighty boat of a thing, but it's got a whole boatload of power all at the same time. Now, do we think the Mustang can take that turn 3 flat there, Jack?
Yes. If you get it on the right angle or the right line, any of these GT3 cars should be good to take that flat out. You might need to feather it with heavy fuel, but in quali trim, it should be a corner that's an acceleration zone if you get the right line.
Oh, but out of turn 6, is it a little bit of a snap, quite tight on entry, and then wanted the power as soon as he could point straight out the corner. But good on the recovery. It was only a minor twitch on his lap. But when you got that many horses, you got to keep them settled in the stable. And then down through turn 11, sweep it through here, very, very settled. And then powers towards turn 12, like the Bentley of Wazza. He should tackle this nicely. Even better, I'd say, wouldn't you?
Yes. Yeah, so the key to that corner is that you have to almost try and make sure that your car is as flat as possible on the exit, because if your car's bouncing up and down, it's not in contact with the ground, it means you put too much curb. And I think the Mustang does that really, really well as he comes across the line.
And P8. I must admit, I did expect a little bit more from Daniel Crossman there. He was much higher last week.
Yeah, I suspect it's all to do with turn 6. He really did lose a lot of time, outbraked himself going into turn 6. And then I think had a bit of exit oversteer for good measure. So I suspect that that's what's done for him. The Mustang's not that quick around here, even if it is fine in that the corner that we've just mentioned. It's not that quick around here, so you'll be disappointed with that.
And just throwing a little bit of light on somebody who's usually sat alongside in the commentary box, but has joined the action for this evening. Owen Harris sits himself in P11, second in class for the AM tier. So naturally, we're going to give him a lot of attention and throw a lot of shade in his direction tonight, because because we can, and I told him I would. No, he'll be hanging around in servers, hit left, right, and centre until his little baby girl arrives sometime in the near future. So there he is. He's currently been pushed down to P12, but he's got a little way before catching Marshall in the race. Car number 37, this is Adam Sharp. I expect he's going to go quite high, but he's only just starting his lap. Can't see. I think car 89.
There's Kelleher, car 89 is the next across the line, I think, followed by Gebman just behind.
Yeah, I think we did catch him starting his lap, so this should be a valid lap. And there's quite a gaggle, P14 to P18 at the moment, of the AM drivers, and he puts himself right at the back of that. So currently last in class, but there is still a bunch of drivers still left to pay homage to the track. 97.
Vanderval goes second in silver, third overall. Vanderval just behind. An excellent lap there from the Dutchman.
And then there was Duda, gone P18 right in the midst of the AM drivers. Car number 34. It's Poppersil, a place where I think the Porsche will thrive. Now, what I've noticed with the Porsche is you really almost have to. It's the car that I found the most. You have to manage the weight very, very commonly around here. You almost have to throw it onto the correct tyre you want the grip on, and Poppersil does with that Porsche and with that knowledge puts himself P7, only a few hundredths of a second behind Wazza. So, real build-up of pro drivers from 4th to 8th there.
Yeah, I think we've got Kevin crossing the line, which we might just miss. I think he's just to set another lap. So Adam Sharp's the next across the line, I think, at the final corner, car 37. Expecting this to be rather high, I would suggest.
He's had a lot of clear track. Oh, and yes, he's the first person within a second of Vermeulen, so that he places himself along the front row, the first few corners. So we'll keep a good eye on that battle when the race begins.
Certainly pole of the non-aliens, I think he would say. So, yeah, certainly an excellent lap time there. And he'll look to do rather well, as we've got Jablonski now coming across the line. What can he do? Jablonski goes
and starts his
lap. He doesn't.
But
he's bound to catch me too.
So, I think car 34, I think, is on an in lap. What car 21 of Handley? And don't worry, everybody. Sometime before the race, I will rectify this horrid camera situation I thought I'd resolved pre-stream. So Handley in the not so commonly picked Audi that seems to get quite unsettled by the rise of turn 12. but it looks quite good on the nose. I'll give it that.
Yeah, it's a difficult handling car. It's very much understeer than oversteer. Quite an inconsistent handling car. So he's doing well to wrestle that car around. And he goes P19, so towards the back of Silver, but certainly he can go racing from there in front of a load of pros.
Gedman finally comes across the line and puts himself P17. So just behind Mr. Harris. Mr. Gedman did say he'd join us afterwards for a little bit of a chat, so we look forward to that. Get his insights from the middle of the grid. Oh, I think that's Eden invalidating on the final corner. I suspect my suspicion is right. He pulls off to the side.
Jablonski next.
So Jablonski, last car over the line. And we're going to have a little bit of time to wait. Actually, Jablonski, hang on a minute.
I think he's invalidated, but fair play to him, because he has at least followed the rules. He will not be starting from the pit lane.
So, can I assume that Eden invalidated his lap before starting it, which is why he's back out?
This and next lap, well, that's fine, but he's got to get around. 57 seconds is a long, long way to travel in that time, and I don't think he's going to make it, to be honest with you. I think this is just another lap.
So I've got a stream challenge. Who reckons I can get through all the plugs before Eden manages to get across the start line?
Let's go.
So, obviously, we are FRL. This event and the FRL's League is sponsored by SimNet, provider of some fantastic, high-quality sim racing equipment, which is compatible for console. So get onto their website on SimNet and get yourself some high-quality sim equipment to improve your racing laps. Now, as well, you can be part of the the FRL community that deals with all things kind of four-wheel racing online, including he's still on an outlap, so he keeps going. Do drop a comment in the chat if you want a link to the Discord and or SimGrid to book your place racing with us. As he hasn't made it. But no.
More time for plugs, though.
We can still got time for plugs. Our time doesn't run out. So yeah, if you are looking to get involved in all things racing online, FRO is the place to be. Your top-rated spot on SimGrid for things ACC. If you're just wanting to continue watching the great content that is FRL streams, do make sure to like and subscribe to this one. Hit the notification bell to not miss when we go live. We race most days of the week. Everything that gets shown online will be fully commentated. Our PC leagues are even more fancy than these console ones, so they can do so much more on board for you and keep you more in the loop. And as well, if you're already part of the FRL community, do make sure to consider joining the Patreon. It starts at just £3 a month. That's 10p a day to get your special perks in regards to your own practice server, priority for your own racing number. Fancying what they can produce on the screen. Gordon Brown correcting me there. Where was I? Secure your own racing number, get early access. We are promoting console. This is what we're doing here, Mr. Brown. We are sharing it for everybody to see. So yeah, your Patreon, so £3 a month. You get save your own racing number. You get early access into events, and yeah, many more benefits as well if you go up the Patreon ladder. But no, what a fascinating qualifying. So we're quickly going to run through that. So Vermeulen set early pace and was never quite met up there, other than by Adam Sharp, who got up within a second. And we have the pairing of Van der Waal and Starclough, third and fourth. De Bont, Brown in the Lamborghini, which we were discussing pre-stream, I thought would do quite well. Wazza in P7. Popsill and Heymans, 8th and 9th. Lino in the last of the podium positions for Silver in P10. Marshall having a fair lead over the second place driver in AM of Owen Harris. It would be quite a gap there if he hadn't decided to join in this week. And then we have Donkin in P12. Crossman in P13. Serpentine in P14. Crossman will be very disappointed with that, starting P13 for the sprint. I think that's second to last, or he is the last of those that actually set a pro tier time.
Kazakevich in 15th ahead of Owen Harris, our very own Owen Harris in 16th ahead of Chris Gedman in 17th and Mark Limbrush-Tully in 18th. Jamie Thacker and Jake Hanley share row 10 ahead of Michael Coppens and Daniel Duda, and all am row 11. Darren Mark Davies is currently lining up 23rd, although he and Brooklyn Donkin are going to be starting from the pit lane, with Paul Trotman and Piotr Spazniak to come next. Dale Kelleher starts from 26th, ahead of Alexei Yablonsky, who didn't set a time, Alexander Kalugin, who didn't set a time, and Andrew Eden, who also did not set a time to bring up the rear.
Yeah, as much as he attempted to set a time, Andrew Eden thwarted by time and track limits.
It was a valiant effort, wasn't it?
It was a very
valiant effort indeed.
So yeah, we are just going to be doing a bit of tomfoolery in terms of getting these cameras right just before we commit to the start of the race, because I don't think you want to be looking at bare track while we're waiting for the cars to come past the stationary cameras. So we are going to tend to that, so nobody panic. The track reading just fast at the moment, but I suspect a few thousand horsepower powering around the track will quickly fix that. But a fairly, I'd say, a routine grid at this point, wouldn't you say? That's a Pro taking up the front, a few Silvers dotted around, and Am bring up the rear.
Yeah, well, one or two drivers out of position, but yeah, what you say is right. I mean, Owen and Jordan Marshall, obviously, in the AM class are the standouts. Marshall has gotten a lot quicker, so I suspect that AM is an almost false class for the Frenchman. And obviously Daniel Crossman last week so quick. I think this week he's just made a couple of mistakes in that Mustang, where had he not made those mistakes, you'd probably be looking at the top 8, top 7, because he wasn't that far away. And then just obviously the stragglers who didn't set a time, Yablonsky and Eden especially, look for them to be, if they don't make much progress, and it's a hard track to overtake on, look for them to be a threat certainly in the second reverse grid race.
That's absolutely right. So if I'm right in thinking, last week was wet, so a bit, a little bit, I guess, more lenient on track limits, which maybe is what caught Crossman out and has found himself back there.
It was certainly wet in the race, wasn't it? It was a dry qualifying, but the race was a bit wet, and that's actually where he went backwards. I think there was a bit of poor luck in that, but obviously the Ford not that drivable in the rain compared, as they do set off on their formation half lap, I think it's fair to say. A bit of an advantage for the Ferrari to be on the inside, with Adam Sharp as well currently on the outside. The McLaren should be quicker than the Ferrari off the line, but he's got to get the drop on and really catch Vermeulen out, and that is easier said than done.
But Vermeulen does have to get across. If he really wants to take speed to that first turn, he's really going to have to come across on Adam Sharp here. And we are go. And Vermeulen sticking to his line initially, sticking to his guns, but I suspect he's going to have to come over eventually, because Sharp is going to get one hell of a swing around the outside here. Vermeulen claiming the line nonetheless, and then still somehow keeping it on track with good speed. Sharp not looking too racing into the first few turns, but the BMW De Bont has seemingly jumped that of Starclough, who has now dropped back to P4 or 5.
Before, De Bont got past both Silver drivers. That's crucial for his race, because De Bont might be able to challenge Adam Sharp. Starclough and Van der Voort kept it sensible on lap 1, so fair play to them, fighting themselves, but themselves only. Vermeulen got a really good drop compared to the Ferrari's usual capabilities, and was able to deal with Adam Sharp, and I would suspect that Vermeulen should now be able to control the race from here.
So, yeah, I'm just watching Wazza at the moment, because he had to take quite a few alternative lines on Van der Waal in order to try and see if he can sneak past him, but Brown is right on him, and I'm not sure if it's Wazza being a bit slower or being held up by Van der Waal, who is dropping off the front group.
I think if Wazza can set him up out of the final corner, it's going to be difficult, but if he can set him up coming out of the final corner. The Bentley should have enough speed to take him past the McLaren.
So I do see Brown going defensive. Popplestone has gone for the wide line. Would this be a good traction drive out the corner for Popplestone? No, it doesn't look like it. Looks like he might have ruined that for himself, and that has invited the Ferrari of Heyman's down the pit straight. But if we go forward to Wazza is liking a move down the inside, and he gets his Bentley nose ahead, and he goes through.
I love it when other drivers make it look like I know what I'm talking about, because it's exactly what he did. Wider line coming out of the final corner, and sets up Van der Waal, who played it sensible once again. Doesn't need to be fighting another class where it's going to cost him time, and an easy move there for the Irishman.
Yeah, so I'm just keeping up with this second, essentially second group battle. Now the leaders of Vermeulen, Sharp, De Bont and Starclough have started to scoot away. It looks like there's a bit of resorting happening. Van der Waal dropping back through, but just seemingly holding off Brown for the time being. Looks like he's found himself a bit of clean hair, Van der Waal. But back behind that, that's Heyman's again, looking at Popplestone. But I'm noticing, Jack, every single move that the drivers are making to try and final turn is letting the car behind them into their fight.
As it is at the moment, this track it's got a lot of late apexes, so somewhere that you really have to sort of commit to, and if you don't commit to it, then you end up slowing yourself up. At the moment, there's a lot of shadow boxing going on here, which is kind of leading to other drivers being able to catch up, because there's not that much commitment.
So I've just gone back to Gedman, taking all sorts of looks on Owen Harris. So at the final corner, Harris does seem to have chosen a much better line out, and that's given him the breathing room he needed. But for a moment, Gedman was right on his gearbox.
Yeah, I think the battle for P6 is now hotting up as they're side by side into the second corner, if you can get there. But Brown now really attacking Van der Waal. Van der Waal holds him off, though, takes the optimum line, and then the acceleration zone that is turn 3 should be able to hold off the Flying Scotsman for a bit. But they were side by side going into turn 1, and the Scotsman just lost out there to Van der Waal.
Yeah, before that, I was just catching the Audi of Hanley. Really look at Kazakevich. But then he goes a little bit wide around turn 5, but that's okay. There's grip out there. Ball drivers. So most drivers performing well. No one really getting caught up in incidents that we've seen. I mean, there's a little bit of a gap at the back from Donkin to Zabazniak. So not quite sure what's happened there, but nothing too alarming.
So Donkin and Davies both started in the pit lane, so that's why they're far back. But they've caught up the field quite well. Obviously, this field spread that you would see throughout the pack doesn't affect the two that start from the pit lane, but I suspect that Donkin especially will be getting into the pack soon.
So back to that Audi fight again. The Audi really closing in on Kazakevich here. Chooses the wide line. The Porsche goes defensive into the final corner. How much speed can the Audi carry on? He took exactly the same line, but from a much wider entry. Now, I don't know too much about the Audi straight line speed, and there is a move going on further ahead. That's the Porsche of Brush Tully going the inside of Serfontaine. Oh, and he gets a bit of a snap and gets Crossman finding his rear. Now Serfontaine has regained that position, but now the Porsche of Kazakevich now on the inside of Crossman. That will make Crossman very cross. And now will the Audi get through as well? And then that touches Crossman. Now Crossman is over and onto the gravel. Just tried to commit back to the line a bit too sharply, I think, there did Crossman.
So I think Crossman was letting the other cars to the inside, especially Brush Tully and Serfontaine, rejoin and get back in, which has obviously shuffled him back anyway, but he just moved over and didn't quite see the other car. That obviously means that when they do meet, it does spin him rather harmlessly off. So he's gone to the back, but he should be able to still progress from there. But no, it all started with Serfontaine and Brush Tully going down the inside and making contact at turn 1. Not normally an overtaking area unless you're clearly ahead. I suspect the stewards might take a look at that. For me, it's 50-50 on that one, so we'll certainly see.
But that battle with Brush Tully and Serfontaine is not over. Brush Tully is all over the back of Serfontaine going through the middle sector. Now he's diving down to the inside for the final corner. We spoke about this pre-stream. How does this play out? It's a tighter line. You're not going to get as good an exit. But the Porsche is absolute goated on this game for its traction ability. But he has not carried speed to the final corner. And despite getting his nose in and allowing the space in the final turn, he's not gone outside. But here he goes. Same move again. Turn 1. Will they collide again? Serpentine commits the outside and carries the speed. And they both go off track. And now that's going to allow Kazakevich to the inside. Will this be 3 wide into turn 2? No, Kazakevich smartly pulls out of the way. But Brushchully is now back to the inside. Pushes Serpentine off the track, but Serpentine still carries the speed. Serpentine carries it through, but he's going to be really tight for turn 4. Turn 4 is super tight and tentative, but that has allowed Brushchully through. That tentativeness, not wanting to claim the line, has cost him ultimately in that exchange.
Yeah, it's difficult because you really do need. We talked about half moves, didn't we? You do need to commit, and it's worked for Brushchully, but I suspect the way he looks back, he might want to think that he could have been a bit more committed because it's cost them 3 seconds now to Marshall and Lino ahead, and it's quite a gaggle behind. I can see as well that Owen Harris is up to 15. He's got past Jake Hanley in all of this. So yeah, the AM driver, the guest AM driver, the reserve AM driver, settling in well on his return to the cockpit.
So Kazakevich having eyeing up Serpentine for a few laps, but kept a safe distance while Brushchully was getting by him. Now, if I'm not mistaken, that was a little bit of a snap going to the final turn, but he's had one Porsche go past him with a similar entry. Will this be another one?
Battle for P6, hotting up going into turn 2. I think Brown's got a run at Van der Waal going down the inside, and I think he's made it stick. Now they're side by side coming out of turn 2, and Van der Waal does indeed yield. So Brown there set him up again through turn 1, but didn't quite try to commit side by side as we'd seen with Brushchully before, and simply allows himself a run up the inside at turn 2 and got the move done on the brakes. So excellent driving there from both drivers, but Brown now can really get after Wazza and see if he can put the Bentley under any kind of pressure.
Now, Lino on the back of Heyman's is closing up. Not quite in striking distance yet, but given a good middle sector, this could be anybody's game. Equal Machinery playing its part in the closing of this gap, but I'd say he is closing. The timing screen's not really showing it yet, but I think Lino definitely looking at the more confident of the two. I'm not sure how.
His car's body language is a little bit more aggressive. It seems a little bit more certain. And we spoke earlier about Van der Waal not fighting other classes. He will want a bit of a buffer. He's lost 2 or 3 places on the road. Starcloff's only lost 1, so he'll want a buffer of Hyman's and Bosbazil behind. So Lino really does need to set about it. I think he will set about Hyman's. Now, Hyman's haven't been in the wars.
Oh, there's a bit of a gaggle into the final corner. That's Thacker with Gedman on his inside, but Gedman has not found traction, and that has allowed Jablonski one hell of a drive, but Jablonski's going to get blocked into the wall. That's unless Thacker opens the outside lineup. It doesn't look like he's going to. He's seen him now, and he's going to block it, but now Gedman has now lost the position to Jablonski, having found himself on the inside line and not willing to take the corner with any amount of risk. But then we go forward, and then, oh no, that is Harris, and Harris has managed to carry on, but he sent multiple cars round, it seems. That's 2 cars round, and I can't help but think, with Owen Harris pulling over to the side, he thinks that's his fault.
I think he made contact with Thacker, I think it was he made contact with. I can't explain the other driver back there. I think Serpentine. No, it's Serpentine he made contact with, so driver in the, or in a different class is never going to go down well. But fair play to him. He's done the only thing he can do, which is, see position and put it right. It might not save him from a talking to, but fair play to Owen Harris. He's done the right thing to try and correct a horrible situation.
He often threatens dropping swear words on stream, and now I bet he's dropping a whole load of them in his helmet at home after that one.
At least he can't be heard. The battle for P6 is really interesting, isn't it, with Van der Waal in the middle of 2 pros. causing a bit of consternation for Pospisil behind, but also a bit of relief, I suspect, for Hymans, who's holding up Lino now, isn't he, in P9. He's just run slightly wide, the Dutchman, and I think Lino might have a run at him towards the end of the race, see if he can get hold of Van der Waal up ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I think the whole group is coming towards Wazza, but seemingly Brown has not dropped the two behind him. He's doing well. The Lamborghini is great for manoeuvring around other cars, but in terms of outright lap pace, it's often not the car to go to. But all the same, it's seemingly just about enough to edge ever so closer into Wazza as we enter the second, or as we're well into the second half of the race here. And I've caught Lino just behind, and that is only slightly so close a gap as we addressed it earlier on. But it does look like Heymans has refound some composure and making his car, as you refer to it, car body language a bit more stable. But he drifts through turn 11. Oh, and they've hit, and they're both facing backwards, and they part like the Red Sea to let all the other cars through.
Well, I believe it is the Costa Blanca, isn't it? And certainly parting like the sea there, as you say. Yeah, the two cars meeting halfway. I suspect that's all caused by when Hymans runs wide, causes a bit of confusion for Lino there. Lino trying to go down the inside, and the two cars meet in the middle. If the car behind it's normally your responsibility, but I would suspect that the stewards might want to take a look at that with Hymans having been in the wars this week. Certainly no stranger to a ticket, both for and against this week. So I think that will add to the Dutchman's frustrations.
So I'm not quite sure what happened to Popsicle there. For a moment, he did drop quite far back, but I'm not quite. Then again, I did see both Van der Waal and Brown take a very wide line out of turn one. So maybe him not abusing track limits is what cost him the time there.
I think as well, Pospisil's driving with his head a little bit because there's not that much now behind him with Marshall 6.5 seconds back. You can afford to maybe just come off and attack a little bit later on. Brown ahead is you kind of want him out of the way if you're Pospisil because he's towing Van der Waal along, and Van der Waal now obviously not under threat, so he can relax a little bit.
So I've just picked up Jablonski all over the back of Andrew Eden, and Eden is acknowledging the challenge. He went defensive into turn 8. Now this isn't really the section to do it, not from that distance, but if he keeps up this aggression, I can definitely see him lining up something out the final corner, because he's even closed coming out of turn 11 there. A wider line of attack, but he has drifted a little bit wide, and there's a bit of a snap that might cost him an attack for the next lap. Yeah, he's dropped back massively. Must have had to come off the power. But now it's all about this exit.
I reckon it spun up a little bit and unsettled the back end. I think there's more the battle for second. It's only separated by 9/10. They're a little bit further ahead. Sharp's dropped off the back of Vermeulen, as I think we were expecting. I think the gap's about 8 seconds, 8.5 seconds. But Nippon has started to make inroads on Sharp in the last few minutes. Now, will he throw caution to the wind here, or will he perhaps sort of think, well, third's okay, and it gives him a place higher, or gives him an extra position on the reverse grid, which is coming next?
I mean, the reverse grid positions are strong, and I think if they've heard the yellow flags being waved around the track, especially in certain sections, he might already be planning when not to make the overtake, more so than where he is going to make the overtake. Cars losing traction, backing up into the cars, and ultimately, as he gets to quite a snapper, well collected.
But where else have we got? I think Thacker in 23rd and 22nd. There's a real battle going on in the AM class here. He's all over the back of Dale Kelleher, who's kept his nose clean after a disappointing qualifying. And I think that Thacker, especially with Crossman behind now, making his way back through the field, I think there's going to be potential for some action here in the last 4 minutes.
Yeah, I think with the pressure of Crossman behind, that'll only make him want to and have to drive closer to Kelleher to try and retain the position that he's got. But as we say that, Kelleher has gone wide and deep and over the gravel, and he's still snapping as he returns to circuit. Thacker tries around the outside, but I think this is going to put him susceptible to Crossman, who's going to choose absolute optimal line, and he's already on the back of Thacker here.
If I'm Thacker, I'd want to let Crossman through because he might be able to cause a bit of chaos up front, and that might make it a bit easier for Thacker to pass Kelleher once Crossman's through and out of the way, as Crossman does go through down the inside. I think that's going to be a benefit for Thacker because it'll mean that Kelleher has now got a quicker driver to deal with who will perhaps cause a bit of chaos.
Yeah, I mean, as there's no drivers really in front of them, now Crossman can really quite easily make a move here. He can dive almost any given opportunity on Kelleher, who for a moment I thought might even be letting him by. That was a very obscure line to be defensive into. And then Crossman dives into the inside of turn 6. Kelleher gets a little bit of a tap for his woes, and then through goes Thacker. Just exactly as you played it, Jack.
Yeah, I do like it when I get proven to be right whilst on stream. And then, who's that going wide?
I think that was Trotman going deep and wide, allowing Daniel Davis to go through.
Yeah, Darren Mark Davis, a legend of the commentary box, as Crossman goes wide, I've just seen, and has let Thacker back through. I think Kelleher's going down the inside. Kelleher's now got him, and so it might be roles reverse. If Kelleher does
commentator's curse.
I'll apologise to Dale a little bit later on, as he's a friend outside of this. Perhaps I put the mockers on him a little bit.
But now Mustang versus Mustang, Crossman having to deal with all of that. He's now ended up with Darren Davis on his rear. But two experienced drivers know where their traction zones are and have planned accordingly to defend themselves on the straight.
I think that's Renat Serfontaine has come into the pits. That might be tactical with the 75% rule. He was quite far back in the Ferrari, and I think he might be looking to get himself a pole position. Renat Serfontaine, who is now in the pits, he might be looking to get himself a pole position, having completed what would be 3 laps fewer than the leaders. Vermeulen now crosses the line to start his penultimate lap. He can afford, I think, Vermeulen perhaps to slow down, judging by the gap for him and Sharp. We'll just see as they cross the line. Is this the last lap? It's always close, isn't it? I don't think he will slow up, but 11 seconds is, that could be tight. I wonder how that'll go.
So, yeah, I'm just keeping tabs on this Battle P2 because it has been closing since you last addressed it, Jack. I think it was at 8 or 9 tenths when we last picked it up, and it's now 6 tenths. So De Bont definitely still keeping the pressure on Sharp. Sharp is cracking here and there, just allowing that gap to slip away. And De Bont ever wanting to just get in a pocket where he can maybe throw a move or make Sharp just twitch underneath the possibility of losing a position.
Fight for P10 as well is starting to hot up, with Brushtilly and Hyman's different classes, but Hyman's looking to get past after a bit of a frustrating afternoon's racing so far. I wonder if Hyman's might just let Sleeping Dogs lie though, because he's going to gain ultimately nothing by making this move. So I do wonder if he might just play the sensible card here and just stay behind. Doesn't look like it.
No, I did see Brushtilly having a bit of a snap on the exit of turn 5, and I think he might make the move just out of concern that Kazakevich is lurking in the background, and he is being slowed down by Brushtilly.
Even if Kazakevich does pass him, it's no biggie, because the next car that's behind him in class is Eden in 17th. So even if he does lose a few positions, it's not a big deal for Hyman's. In fact, it's actually probably a bit of an advantage with the way that the reverse grid system works.
So we're just picking up the battle for P2. This is as close as it's been. De Bont now within 3 tenths. Gets a bit of a snap out of the first turn. This is definitely shooting distance now. Any corner now is an opportunity for De Bont. This is for class. This is for top positions. So I know we've been talking about letting dogs lie for the lower positions, but I think for bragging rights they're going to want this one.
Yeah, these two had a really good race in Budapest at the end of last season. They were nose to tail pretty much the entire way, but it's roles reversed. De Bont now looking to line him up. He'll have to get the braking perfect for turn 8 coming up.
So Sharp choosing a shallower line on entry without compromising the exit. No, he takes a nice wide line, so that's all fine. Braking key here as well. De Bont this time choosing a tighter line on entry. Does that mean he can get on power? No, not quite enough. Looks like Sharp took that one better. Now, last few opportunities here.
I think Sharp's got it as Vermeulen's about to cross the line.
So Vermeulen, as ever, the season #1, and out the final corner, De Bont is going to chase Sharp to the line, but I don't think there's enough track left to do it. He is closing. He is closing, but no, that's all she wrote for that one. Starclough comes home for a very positive silver tier win. Wazza never quite gets caught by Brown, who sees off Van der Waal, who gets a P2 in class. Poppersil and P8. Merschel is
Gonna be
coming
a
home.
class win. Pretty commanding class win, isn't it, for Marshall? So excellent drive there from the Frenchman as he's followed by Brush-Tully. Hymans doesn't quite get into the top 10, does he? With Kazakevich and Handley in 12th and 13th. There's a big old gaggle across the line.
Yeah, Lino just challenged him towards the line, but misses out by 300ths of a second. And Kalugin just sees off Eden.
Second in class, though, for Kalugin, wasn't it? Second in class, so an impressive recovery, because he was a little bit further back, Kalugin.
3 cars coming across quite close to the line there. That's Duda losing out to Donkin by 0.008 of a second. And Owen Harris, after starting P2 on the grid for AM, comes home in a lowly 26th.
That's P8, I think, ahead of Kelleher and Spazniak, who were debating not last. In the end, with Serfontaine a lap down, obviously. But Serfontaine, I think, by doing that, has guaranteed himself a pole position start. So might be a little bit of consternation there. There's the rules as intended, to quote the FIA. But I think Serfontaine will be taking pole after his early retirement, let's say.
But all the same, there are points for both races. He's gambled points away to potentially gain points in the second race. So it's not all no loss with all game.
Yeah, he was quite far. I seem to remember him being in the top 20. He was in the wars, though. So he would have been clear of Donkin, but he's, I guess, maybe thought that, any potential positions that you would save, obviously, with Donkin, he'll be a little bit further back and then doesn't have quite so much chance to get away. Because if he's pole positioned in a sea of AMs, with Kelleher and Spazniak behind him, he would probably expect to get away from them whilst the quicker cars come through. Yeah,
I mean, Serfontaine is no slouch. There's every reason that he can start from the front of the grid and create a big enough gap away from the pack to maybe challenge those fast drivers like Vermeulen, De Bont and Sharp coming up from the back to try and catch the lead. The thing that often costs those starting from reverse grid pole is the fact they have to overtake a couple of cars and get gaggled up in a little small group, which slows them down, and they never quite get the gap to really hold off those lead drivers. In a track like this, what do we suspect is with the pit that's about to come up in this 40-minute race? What do we suspect is going to be the pit strategy? Because I don't think quite as much you want to be pitting really early here.
It's a short pit stop, timed at about 40 seconds, so a good 25 shorter almost than Misano. So it's a much shorter pit stop. It's you're going to come out if you pit early, especially if you're towards the back, you're going to come out in clear air, which means that you'll be able to run your race. So I suspect that there'll be plenty who do pit early, perhaps those who are starting towards the sharp end, so potentially, your Serfontaines, your Spazniaks, your Kellehers of this world, maybe even Crossman, if he can get past a few of the AM drivers quickly. They may stretch it and go long. But, if you're starting towards the back, if you're Vermeulen, if he doesn't get involved in any incidents, Sharp, De Bont, Starclough, etc., then it would be prudent to come in early. You just want to make sure that on lap 2, if you can get a gap, wherever you are, if you can be in clear air, then that is going to be paramount to your race.
Yeah, I mean, we saw so much how people's alternative lines and so on really cost them in overall race time and the battles they missed out on later on. So we're just watching highlights now. We're starting off the games elected Marshall. So to follow around his first lap. And he seems to hold position fairly well. And then had Lino trying to make moves on, I think that's Thacker ahead? Or Heyman, no, is that Heyman's?
I think it's Hyman's. If it's the black Ferrari, that will be Hyman's.
That's the one.
Yeah, so it will be Wouter Hyman's.
So this is Andrew Eden making moves on Dale Kelleher, who did get backed up by the Ferrari there. I believe that was Coppens. I think that might have been Klugin ahead, who was the first one. So we did catch that one on the stream. Got a nice route around the outside and then got boxed in with a Ferrari. Actually, it was quite crucial there. He did get ahead of Dale just on the corner exit. Then we have Starkov overtaking De Bont early on, which he must have had undone, seeing as De Bont went chasing after Sharp towards the back end of the race. So I'm assuming this is a wide moment from De Bont in the BMW, because he is quite far behind. Really
taking a long while to bring about the overtake. I wonder if it might have been De Bont on Starkov, but De Bont, to be fair, got him on lap 1 if memory serves. Starkov and Van der Waal were 4th and 5th when they started 3rd and 4th.
So this was the contact that let Crossman through.
Do you want me to judge it, or do you want me to stay on the fence?
I mean, we've been employed to stay on the fence.
In that case, I will say that both cars were side by
we'll
side.
Let the audience
very much a meeting in the middle.
We'll have the audience have their pints of discussion. I mean, I've got my opinion on it. I can let Crossman know afterwards. I do have him in contact as a friend of the league. Then we have Wouter Heymans take on Marshall, which is 2 cars behind here, so quite sure what transpires here. Seems like the replay is a bit late on all these highlights.
This is Trotman going wide then, so that's what's happened. He's gone on the marbles, outbraked himself a little bit, and he's rejoined sensibly, which has led to obviously no collisions, but he has lost a place there to Coppens. All very sensible there for Paul Trotman, who's a driver you associate with sensibility, even if he is in AM. Certainly not because of his racecraft, it's pace only. So yeah, excellent driver really once he realised that he had messed up.
And I believe this is the incident.
I think this might be a little bit further on, or this another one. Is this Serfontaine is, I think he's going off a little bit, because Serfontaine's not in front of that car. That's Kazakevich, isn't it? That's who it's listed. And Serfontaine is mid-tailspin at this point, isn't he? So we've got Harris there. I reckon Serfontaine is going to get a hit from Kazakevich, looking into this and going into the penultimate corner. No, he doesn't. No, that's me around.
No, this highlights package is not doing us a hand here. Blame the broadcasters.
Well, I think the game realised I was right too many times and wanted to see if it could get me to prove myself wrong a couple of times. I think that's
right
what
too many times and too many curses handed out.
Yeah, can't be doing that. So time to put the joke back on myself, I think.
But I think we are going to get something here. This was Brown, having a move done on down the inside with Michael Van der Waal, but then he's going to throw it deep down the inside. It actually comes from a reasonable way back there, does Brown, but I think that does begin to highlight why Michael Van der Waal was that far wide of the corner entry, not really defending the line at all, because he had to carry a lot of speed as the driver from the inside from turn 1.
Yeah, the stream caught that right at the end, so I think Brown had set him up going down the straight, and they were side by side, and he braked very slightly early to open the corner up for himself, with obviously Van der Waal taking the tighter line. It's kind of stick or twist, and he's stuck, but when you go wide there, you have to obviously make every effort to come back on the track as quickly as possible, and that's what happened there. So still no server up. Just having a look now. No server up for the
I can see admin
second
typing.
race as of yet.
Oh, as we do get the same admin making a move on the... I think that's Jablonski behind actually getting the position. I think we caught this one on stream. Jablonski worked his way all the way around the outside watching two cars battle. And he does get Gedman at the end of the straight here, if I'm not mistaken, despite being boxed in by Serpentine ahead.
Looks like we're going to have to fill for a bit longer because they are having a couple of issues with G-Portal. It wouldn't be a season without a couple of G-Portal issues. Yeah.
We are now go, go, go. We've just had that message. Just underneath.
We didn't have to fill for too long then. Let's see if we can get back in then straight away. Looking forward to this second race. Certainly looking forward to the longer format, the reverse grid. I think there's going to be a bit of strategy here involved. And I think with the way that the track is, because it's a shorter lap, it's going to be a little bit more frenetic because of that, I think.
And I think with the added pit stop strategy involved, I think a lot more strategy is going to have to go into that this week than last week. It's not too easy to feed back out into, especially as you're heading back into turn one, outside of turn one.
Yeah, there was a little bit of I think it was Vermeulen who fair play, quickest driver on the grid, trying to push the limits a little bit more. He did ask about the pit exit. I think he has been told that he cannot go out onto the pit exit and just cut straight across. He does have to follow the white line, so that'll be something for a lot of drivers to watch out when other drivers are feeding back in.
So everybody still trying to resolve camera matters.
Not like ACC to make it difficult for us streamers, is it? I think we're just about setting up now. So a couple of the drivers going back out onto circuit. So you've got Vermeulen and Brown, and I think car 78, that is Jablonski. And there's the saying that no laps, you can't really do too many laps. Even if it's a 5-minute shakedown, especially with the track being a bit warmer, might be a good idea to get some, limited data, it must be said, on exactly how warm those tyres will be, how much pressure you might need to take out of them as he does come in after his installation lap. Let's see if there's anything from Gordon Brown now in the Lamborghini. And I think what they'll be doing is they'll just be trying to see exactly where the car's at in the hotter conditions. They might be trying to get their rhythm back, because with the break in racing that you get, sometimes it's quite easy to lose your rhythm before you get into the first lap of the second race. So a little bit of a fact-finding mission for some drivers. I personally didn't really care too much for it. When I was doing the reverse grids and the sprint Sundays, it didn't really matter to me because I still knew which way the track was from before. And, from practice, you do get a bit of a difference to race. But some drivers do like to just sort of refill their way around because they'll have 15 minutes out of the car. And it doesn't sound like a lot, but you are going in cold a little bit more, as I think now if we sorted the camera issues out and the stream issues and Gordon Brown does come back.
I think it only lets me have it when the cars are actually going into race. For some reason, in practice, it's not too. I think it's essentially a battle cam I'm looking for. In the free practice, it doesn't let me have it. So,
no, well, why would you want things to be set up perfectly? I guess. We've got Vermeulen now. He's gone back out after. I wonder if he's trying a different setup, because he did an installation lap, didn't he? And then he came straight into the pits, and now he's doing another lap. I wonder if he's just trying a couple of different setups according to the warmer conditions. You're not going to get much from a couple of laps except for initial feel, which can mean a lot, but you need to really test it and go around a couple of times at least for that to really sort of mean anything, because you need to see exactly where you are. I always operated best when I had a Delta, so I sort of knew exactly where to push it. Obviously, Vermeulen is a far better driver than me, so far be it from me to question anything he does in terms of setting himself up for the second race.
Let's try this one more time. I actually use Vermeulen as a car that's actually gone out as maybe a bit of a guide.
Marshall in 26th might be one to have a little look at if you do need to look up. There we go. Are we there?
I think so.
It looks different to the one I usually get.
Give me somebody out on track. Somebody who's actually doing a lot. Still not exactly the one I wanted. And that's a very strange camera. So whilst you do have the time to play around with this, I am going to do so, so I apologise to anybody watching that's maybe losing interest in me attempting to get camera settings correct.
On the positive side, you may be getting a bit more of an insight as to exactly how we set these up. And it is not as easy as I think the streamers, especially people like yourself, make it.
Yeah, it's...
So let's have a look at the grid.
So, as expected, Serpentine does find himself on the reverse grid pole. But seemingly, with the pit, by design, Serpentine does back himself across long race distances to hold pace. I've seen it firsthand, him getting reverse grid race wins, just because he's a fantastic driver in clean air. He does have nothing but AM drivers and crossmen to really concern himself with for probably quite a few laps. I don't believe any drivers. Vermeulen starts from exactly the back of the grid, as nobody didn't finish the 75% threshold for setting laps in the 20-minute sprint. But crucially as well, the track has gone optimum.
It is also quite a bit warmer than it was in the last race. You had a track temperature of 38 degrees. Now it was 31 last time out when they raced for the 20-minute race. And that does make a difference because obviously your tyres are going to suffer a lot more. So it becomes a bit more about management than it was from last week, from race 1 last week to race 2 last week. So it should be something for the drivers to really get involved in there in terms of how you manage that tyre rather than just, effectively a 40-minute sprint punctuated by a second-long pit stop. But Spazniak, Kelleher, Harris, Trotman and Davis as the leading AMs, and Spazniak and Kelleher were fighters towards the back end a little bit earlier on. Kelleher won out, so something for those AMs have got to not only fight themselves, but obviously make sure that when quicker cars are coming around that they don't need to get out of the way for the quicker cars to pass, but it's about traffic management in terms of if a quicker car does pass, losing as little time as possible. And there is a real art to it.
Yeah, and crucially, that art is not diving off the line, it is not driving off track, it's not about just lifting off at the earliest opportunity. As a blue flag driver, you aren't immediately having to move out of the way. You can stay on the line and the drivers can pass you if they wish to, or you can push through to a safe area where you can safely make that lift off and not cost yourself time as well. Some drivers may elect to do it earlier if they wish. If they find a corner, they can just drop wide on, let the faster driver through and almost do a cutback on the lead driver. But this is all often at the discretion of the drivers. As Davis and Donkin are once again having to serve a pit lane start because of what they did during qualifying. And I'm just going to, because that's how I did it last time. I believe it's that one. This is the one. Told you it only appeared in this mode. It looks like Serpentine has jumped the gun a little bit.
One way to get an advantage. He'll have to slot back in a bit because otherwise he will be getting a penalty. And he does. That's quite some penalty he's going to get. So drive-through penalty there for Serpentine as the rest of them look to catch up with, I think, Owen Harris trying to go round the outside, going into turn 1. He's got both of them. Spazniak and Kelleher hold each other up.
Oh, as we have Crossman. That's Crossman facing backwards. So the main threat to the AM tier leaders and the silver of Crossman already round at turn 1. Now, does Serpentine hold Harris up here? because this is a net lead for Harris. His
Yeah, well,
nose
Harris-
will be absolutely bleeding.
Well, Harris will. He's a sensible enough driver, you know. So I suspect that it'll be don't attack too much with Serpentine now. Obviously, having served that drive-through penalty, he'll want to do it quickly because he'll have the most amount of clear air when he does it, rather than fighting around with another driver. As Harris does have a look, wisely backs out. Crossman's dropped right to the very back. He took Starclough with him, and Eden also in strife at the back there with, I think, car 27. That's Darren Mark Davis, the two who started in the pit lane. Have caught the back of the pack a little bit quicker this time around.
And now catch Keller going very wide, and that has allowed Jablonski through. That's Thacker right in the back of him as well. So Kelleher making an early mistake out on the marbles and loses out very quickly.
Bit of an unsettling start for
Kelleher.
Now
Jablonski on the inside of Zabazniak going into the final turn.
So Jablonski there's a man who really has made hay whilst the sun has shone, because he's up to third place. He was well down the order, wasn't he?
Well,
he was
net second place.
The middle of the order. He's now in net second place. He's third overall. He is second because obviously the drive-through Serpentine has come in to serve that drive-through now. So yeah, game on for Jablonski.
Potentially 3 wide going to turn 2, but Thacker sensibly backs out. Kelleher brings the corner together, has to defend from Zabazniak, who finds himself in this belt, but then Duda on the inside, he's going to find himself on the outside for turn 4. Can he round it? Gedman chooses not to put himself in that sandwich.
That is a gain for Kelleher. Kelleher was behind Zabazniak. Zabazniak making a couple of mistakes and allowing Kelleher through. Kelleher now in relative clear air.
So we've got Kazakevich in P8 trying to go around Gedman, but Gedman's found himself on the inside of Zabazniak. Will Kazakevich try and slot his way through as well? Because Gedman's got this one done. But now Kazakevich going deep on the brakes. Kazakevich always tries to make it 3 wide. But thankfully, Zabazniak backs out fully.
Contact further back. I think that's Sharp.
Oh,
that might be Adam Sharp.
And that's a Porsche of Bruce Tully going into the back of that's Kazakevich. No, Zabazniak. And
there's been a bit of issues further back. A couple of drivers are pitted already, so they are Vermeulen, Marshall, Crossman's got his pit stop out of the way, and Starclough and Eden. They've all cleared their early stop, and I think as well that there might be a few drivers who are now out of position who might wish they'd done that.
Really backing up into the final turn. Bruce Tully going all the way around the outside, and with almost 2 wide going into the pits there, and even more cars driving into the pits. So I believe that's
Lino and the Bonds, isn't it, amongst others that are coming into the pits.
Eden as well, I think.
Too late though.
Yeah, especially with the hold up that they got. And then further forward, that's Thacker going the inside of Kelleher again. I think he'll get this one done. He'll get his nose ahead. Oh, but tell you what, Thacker's still finding around the outside. Kelleher did do well to get to the turn 4 apex, but now he's going to allow Duda up his inside. Duda showing his nose, scares Thacker out the corner, but can the traction of the Beamer find his way all the way to turn 6 before he can? No. Thacker sticks his nose in there and holds position for now. That's allowed Gedman to get backed up by the BMW, and now that's allowed Kazakevich up the inside. This flat left-hand turn, Kazakevich is going to find his way to the inside for turn 8. Now he's going to have to really commit to the inside here, send Gedman around the outside, but Gedman's going to find traction. But Gedman, can he open the corner up for turn 10? Yes, he can. But then Kazakevich tries to dive it down the inside, and he's touched. And then he's gone round as well. And now Gedman's been tapped in the rear. We spoke about this prior to the stream. You've really got to put faith in the car ahead of you if you're going to make that move down the inside, because it's 3 corners that make up 1 corner ultimately in terms of driver steering movement, and he has very much cost himself and Gedman time and position there. But then just behind
I think Kazakevich will be disappointed with himself there as we see Brown now off and losing a position there to Wazza, I think, having tried to go around Spashniak. Yeah, Kazakevich will be disappointed with himself there with that, because the move, he was never really alongside, and the one positive is he did put Gedman back facing the right way, but not his finest moment there.
We have missed the fight for the lead. Jablonski, I believe, has just got past Owen Harris. Very nice. I don't think we'll be too fussed about that. They're not in class. He'll just be hoping to stay ahead of Gedman, who's currently sat about 10 seconds behind.
Yeah, look at the gap that Harris has got over Kelleher. That's the one that he'll be worrying about. He'd like to stay with, and he'd like to have stayed ahead of Jablonski, but if he can just keep with Jablonski, use the quicker McLaren as a reference point, he'll be fine. 7 seconds the gap now from one AM to the other, and only Marshall has pitted. I think Marshall and Kalugin have pitted. Marshall was a little bit further back, yeah, looking very rosy there for Owen Harris on his return to the championship.
My camera's just reverted back. That's annoying. Anyway.
We're going back to the land of late corners and missed cars then, are we? As per ACC rules.
Try to keep an eye on Brush Tully, who's chasing Gedman.
He's got to keep in mind that Hanley might just come down he's going to go around the outside. If he squares the corner off, you might have Brush Tully down the straight, even with the Porsche superior traction. Not quite going to happen because Brush Tully got a great exit there, but that might be something that you can do if you're the Audi in terms of trying to force the Porsche off long.
Wazza further back, trying to move on Bazniak, and he's got that one done, nice and easy down the straight.
Yeah, easy meet there for Wazza. I think he's also clear of Donkin as well. Donkin's a little bit further back there as well, so yeah, easy work there for Wazza.
So I'm not going to be able to deal with this camera. I'm just going to flick it into Helicam, because that's
now a fight for third position. I'll sort of go radio ACC if you like, with Val Kelleher still about 10 seconds back. He's lost a lot of time to Harris, but he's holding up Duda in fourth position fairly. I think Duda might just have managed to force his way through. That's Hyman's out in front, isn't it? That's Hyman's in front of them, having left the pit lane. Duda now goes down the inside. Can he make it stick? No.
He had to
bail
out of that.
To miss the back of Kelleher as I throw over to you now, Greg.
And that's Brush Tully on the outside. That's Brush Tully going through on Gedman there. And then Hanley close in on this one. But this is backed up Duda. And Duda's got two Porsches behind him. One of Gedman and one of Hanley.
I think Gedman shot himself in the foot by going down the inside because it's opened up the space for Hanley. Hanley's going to try and block the apex, but Gedman now round the outside of Brush Tully. And I think they all survive. Whilst we've got Wazza further back on Coppens. Excellent racing there between three classes.
So look at the speed that Wazza's coming though. He might have to find himself on the marbles. Hanley goes defensive. Wazza back around the outside though. Had all the time in the world to think about that, but he's going to find himself off track and losing all the pace that he gained. And now that's Coppens going down the inside. Does he brave it on the brakes? Yes, he does. Gets nose to the inside, but then they touch ever so slightly. The battle continues on. Wazza straightens his car up and uses the off track to keep his car in the fight.
Well, it all started when there was a lapped car that came out of the pits. I think it's Hyman's. Absolutely fine because he got away. He drove away and showed himself to be quicker, but Duda then backed up when he tried to pass Kelleher. That allowed Brush Tully and Gedman to go side by side, and I thought that Hanley might pass Gedman when he went down the inside.
As we've got De Bont in the BMW going through on the Ferrari of Lino into turn 2. That's quite crucial for him. He's not quite as far forward as he wants. Vermeulen very much leading the pack here of those that have pitted. He's 9 seconds behind Darren Davis. And he's still got some time to find to overtake those that haven't pitted yet, but he's well on track to take a reverse grid win here from the back, so don't count him out just yet. But as we go back to Wazza, who's now got Duda on his inside, but the two barges heading down the straight.
With how much they fought though, it could well be that with Vermeulen having such a pace advantage, he could have caught these actually relatively quickly, which might actually hamper him. Not too much if he's prepared to sit patiently, but that might be something for the South Africa to consider, as we've got Gedman then holding off Brush Tully with Hanley in 6th just behind here. Excellent racing between what is effectively 2nd, 3rd and 4th in silver.
Well, you say that, but as it currently stands, Lino isn't actually... he's about 15 seconds behind Vermeulen, who is on a charger. I think will jump that second AM group.
it's a short stop, so it's something to keep an eye on at the moment. It's going to be very, very close. The line did start towards the back, but I think behind Jablonski, it's anyone's game, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. Now jump back on board with Hanley, who's done an awesome job holding back Wazza, but Wazza only needs one good exit down that pit straight, and I think he'd fly past both of them. The Audi and the Porsche, not cars that are blessed with top speed advantage. Gedman doing a good job at just distancing himself from this group, but Wazza is lurking, and if he can clear these two, that will be Gedman's main focus in terms of defence. But Hanley in the Audi shaping up a move on Gedman there. Oh, sorry, it's Brush Tully that's the lead Porsche. Oh, but Wazza elects for the pits, so he elects not to try and fight his way through the Silver Tier drivers.
Yeah, that's a sensible move. He might wish he'd have done that a couple of laps earlier, but suspect that he'll be coming out well into the second pack, if you like, with regards to the pit exit there. As I think Darren Mark Davies in 12 having a go at Spazniak in P11 going into the second corner. I'll try and see if I can describe this for you as he goes down the inside. They're side by side. Runs him off of the road a little bit, but all fair there, and that's an easy move. Spazniak outbrakes himself, and Davis there through easily for P11 at the moment on the road.
Yeah, Spazniak so far proving that he's quite a tentative driver. He's won't take too many risks, but in racing, not taking the risk is sometimes more risky than actually taking a risk and really putting your foot down through stuff. But look who's actually catching. This is Vermeulen's first real overtake on those that haven't pitted yet, and he's closing them at an absolute rate of knots. So this will be Vermeulen's first real test out as he pretty much scares Spazniak off the road. I'm not sure if he's listening to the stream and heard the sound of Vermeulen's Ferrari closing on him, and the sheer sight of that neon green Ferrari spooked him off. But that's one less car for Vermeulen to have to worry about losing time to.
There's a little bit of damage to his front end, so he's not had it all his own way for Mullen. We can see now, I think, Gedman's still fighting with Brush Tully. I think they've all passed Al Kelleher around the lap, because Kelleher's now with P6, but he's still second in class so far. But yeah, Chris Gedman and Brush Tully never more than about 3/4 of a second apart, are they?
But one crucial thing to start highlighting is the gap that Owen Harris has managed to actually pull out from Brush Tully. Yes, he's dropped that behind Jablonski, that was never really his concern. But Brush Tully, from the silver tier, not actually really gaining on Harris. If anything, losing time.
They've fought so much that Harris has driven a really sensible race. He hasn't tried to fight what couldn't be fought with Jablonski, and he's driven a really sensible race. I reckon he's given himself a really good chance of leading the AM class once this all shakes out. Marshall is a little bit of a threat down in, where is he currently? He's 17th, but I think that it's going to be between those two.
I'm looking at the gap that Harris might actually feed back into. I think, you think he maybe needs a few more cars to pit, because car 34, that's Popsill, he'd come right out in the gaggle of pro drivers, I think, which is ideally not what he wants.
You would almost kind of want them to go all the way through. You either want to be well ahead of them or behind them, and it would then allow himself to get into a bit of a rhythm. I'm with you. I think you would either want the cars to pit, but Pospisil, De Bon, Lino, they're all quick drivers, so if he could maybe come out once they've cycled through, I think that would be ideal for Harris in terms of running his race, just staying relatively calm out there.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, this is his best opportunity for clean air in the race, so giving this up probably isn't sensible, but hopefully he's got somebody in his ear that can actually give him a gap to feed back into and have him call it really, really late, which is what he's going to need. Not like anybody is anywhere near him to actually see what he's doing.
No, that's true, but it's something that will be on his mind. I just have a look here. I think Adam Sharp, whilst we were doing that, is just past Gordon Brown for 17th on the road, but that will be more like once this all shakes out, that'll be more like P5 in class at the moment.
Picked up Donkin, overtaking Marshall down the pit straight. That's a relatively routine move.
Marcel's sensible. He'll just think more about overall pace rather than position, because at the moment where he is now with Donkin being a slightly quicker driver in a quicker tier, then I think for Marcel it's about staying where he is and just staying as quick as he can, because he's still got a real chance, I think, of overhauling Harris should Harris have any dramas in the pits, and it gives Marcel a great chance to cement what has been a really good week so far.
So this trio of Brush, Tully, Gedman, Handley still respectfully following one another. None of the three diving into the pits as of yet. Suspecting this is going to be a late dive in. The pit window does go all the way to the last lap. And I've picked up Duda on Kelleher. Duda's shown great pace tonight. And Kelleher has been dropping consistently backwards through the order of cars. I've seen Trotman at the back of the unpitted cars finally going into the pits. Be quite keen to see where he feeds back out.
Even Kelleher's pace has been towards the back of the AM class, though he has driven a very sensible second race in terms of staying out of trouble. He's managed the traffic about as well as can be expected. Now it's him, Duda and Coppens to the end, all similar pace drivers. I suspect this is going to be one to watch throughout the whole race.
Yeah, with Coppens joining this in the later stages, not even the halfway point yet, and Coppens is right on this and may consider pitting out of it. I think he's seen the pace he's got in comparison to the two, and he's got to choose to overtake them with haste or jump back out of it. Because I think with Coppens' current position, I think he could find himself coming out just ahead of Trotman.
I think so. I mean, Trotman had been further back on the road anyway, so it would need a really good pit stop for that to change. With Darren Davies, he was fighting before, and Darren Davies is about 11 seconds back. So I think Trotman won't be a threat unless they make a bit of a pig's ear of the pit stops. But with Duda, Coppens and Kelleher, it's about staying out of trouble. They're all running line astern now.
So I've picked up Debon on Popsicle.
Calm.
This is going into the final turn. Debon really pushing on. And I must admit, where is Vermeulen?
I think he may have disconnected. He was pingy.
So
we're a couple of drivers out. Serpentine's not there either, is he? So
well, Serpentine, after having his drive-through, I can understand his dismay at the start, why he may have left us. But
I think that Vermeulen has disconnected. So this is indeed for the lead.
It's been blown wide open. So for the lead, ultimately on track, the two pro drivers that are coming through the pack as the pits cycle through. Only 9 drivers left to pit, with Darren Mark Davis only 6 seconds up the road from this. I imagine these two will be catching him at a rate of knots, but they can concern themselves just with each other for the time being, because this is probably the closest battle on track at the moment. And De Bon showing great commitment on the brakes, really drawing in on the Porsche under braking, and that's, I guess, where the BMW can apply the pressure.
Yeah, so Pospisil's not a driver to be easily scared off the road. I can speak from experience, but he is a fair driver. You might, if you are De Bon, you might want to try and maybe launch a fake move going into the final corner. You might either want to try and go down the inside and see if you can outbrake him, or really open the corner up in the BMW, because the Porsche's got great traction. Yeah, try and open the corner up a little bit and get as good an exit as you can, and you might just be able to stay in the tow. Yeah, Pospisil's going defensive, so as he goes round the outside, let's see.
Jack.
Yeah, happy moments, but he's going to do well he'll have to brake either round the outside. That is excellent if he can keep hold of it. No, he can't.
No, he can't, and get track limits for his troubles as well, I reckon.
I was just about to say that he'll probably need to brake a little bit earlier before then trying to cut back, because I think that's the route to go when you're going to attack down the front straight into turn 1, with the nature of the corner being as quick as it is. You kind of want to make the other driver make a mistake rather than look excellent yourself.
But I think, if I'm not mistaken, if I was to watch it back again, I'm pretty sure he had the move done. He would have just turned in a normal braking point. I think Pospisil was letting him have that one.
I think so, but I think Pospisil, he used pretty much all of the track when he went through turn one. I think the bump was just a little bit over ambitious around the outside there. I think if you're De Bont, you're sensible enough to try and make the other driver make a mistake, because it has to be a really Hollywood pass around the outside there, or it requires a really compliant driver.
Well, I think we're going to see the same script repeated going into that turn one again. We'll see how De Bont does here. He takes, again, very heavy curbing through the rise of turn 12. He's going to open up the corner once
through turn 12, so he's going to leave himself a little bit short, I think. Pospisil's not quite going to have to go defensive here. I wouldn't have thought, but when he runs wide a little bit, when you sort of put a wheel over the gravel, it kills your momentum, and it doesn't look like it's done much, but you look at the difference at the end of the straight.
Yeah, it's not like he didn't close up on him. That's just BMW power. But from challenging last lap to being a couple of car lengths behind on this lap, yes, the difference, as Jack said, just a little tread on the marbles, and it'll carry you through several corners and opportunities.
It's a real track. It's a track that really does punish previous mistakes.
And I can't help but notice,
get away with it.
We have... Oh no, they're cycling through. For a moment there, I thought we had an alternative leader. Hanley now correctly dropping through the pack. Oh, as Pospisil had to go defensive on the exit of the corner of turn 6. I think will successfully defend going to turn 8. But De Bont is trying around the outside nonetheless, keeping him honest, saying you can't just park on the inside and not be challenged around the outside. Now we've seen a few tears coming through turn 11. Oh, as it happens, De Bont gets on the marbles, keeps his car with a fantastic drift, but that's not going to help him in his fight for the net lead of this race.
He actually did quite well to gather it up. He's got a little bit too wide again through turn 12, but he did actually quite well to gather it up, because I know what happens there when you brake and turn in that nature of corner, and you brake and turn too much, the back end swings round as all the pressure goes towards the front, and when your rear end goes light like that, it's really difficult to gather up. So well done there, De Bont, but he's going to have to go again with Pospisil living to fight at least one more lap.
I mean, he's come out. He's still got plenty of time to fight. We're over the halfway point. We're at 17 minutes remaining on the session. Bruce Tully, the first of those challenging for silver tier podium, now coming out of the pits. And we'll go on board with him, because it'd be quite key is to find out where he comes out. That
quite
is
far
Thacker.
back.
That's
is the answer.
Yeah,
he's come out behind Thacker and Kazakevich, so he's come out quite far back, really, and I suspect that the same thing might befall Gedman a little bit further down the track.
Now, he was holding a 12-second gap behind Harris, so we'll find out exactly where he is in terms of time and settling. So, yeah, I think Harris may come out
far behind Handley, Bristolly, so they were fighting, weren't they, at one point, and Handley's got the drop on them, but quite an alarming amount, actually. It's, nearly sort of 6-7 seconds by my maths.
I mean, potentially he's had not the greatest of pit entries, but we can only remain sceptical on that. With that 12-second gap he was holding to Harris, I suspect Harris is going to come out somewhere around Wazza and Sharp. More.
Let's just have a look here now.
Wazza, 15 seconds Brown, maybe.
Yeah, he's 15 seconds off the back of Harris, and he's put a lap on Spazniak. I'll say 15 seconds. As soon as that happens, it's gone to 13. He's just put a lap on Spazniak, so that won't help. But yeah, I think he really needs to have a stellar last few laps before he pits, because with Bruce Tully coming out where he has come out, I think it's going to leave those drivers, certainly that were fighting all that time, pretty vulnerable to those that pitted early. You think Donkey and Kazakevich, Hanley had a really good stop, Nino, all of them are really... They've dropped back quite a bit, or behind those drivers by quite a bit more than anticipated.
So we do have a bit of a gaggle going on from Kazakevich backwards. Merschel is behind... That's not Kazakevich, that is actually...
It is Kazakevich, car 75, it is Kazakevich. It looks like Pospisil, doesn't it? But it is Kazakevich leading Marshall there.
So we've got Kazakevich just slightly away from Merschel, but he does have Thacker and Bruce Tully closing in. So Brush Tully with fresh tyres, essentially a light fuel load, is going to really push to come through here, because if he thinks Harris is achievable, he's going to need to clear these as soon as possible. Because this is where the strategy really comes into it. If you're in traffic, if you're fighting, you're just losing all the time to those that are on a different strategy, like Harris, who is just sitting in his happy clean air, putting in the laps that you're not.
I think Marshall, for his strategy, might want to clear Kazakevich pretty quickly. He wants to do it cleanly, but if you think with Kelleher, Kopp and Stud, I don't think there'll be much of a threat. But certainly Harris, in terms of the race win or the class win, I think Marshall might want to clear Kazakevich, and certainly he's closing up now as they go into turn 2.
So not quite in striking distance yet, but I suspect with the pace he's been carrying around the lap, but he is now going to have to think about Thacker. And just behind, Eden and Brush Tully, so that's Eden overtaking Brush Tully into turn 2. The Aston Martin, definitely the fastest straight line car of this bunch. If he can set himself up into the final sector, there's no telling how many cars he can overtake with the opportunities that he is accustomed to down the pit straight.
Yeah, a little bit of a brutal move there from Eden, all fair, but he did just, effectively take Brush Tully's lunch money going into turn 2. Excellent driving from Eden, but Brush Tully mugged a little bit, I would say, going into turn 2.
I concur with that. So Marshall playing it safe, just not wanting to get too close too soon, choosing the right time and opportunity to get underneath the gearbox of Kazakevich. Not the cleanest of tractions out of turn 11. Up the hill they go. He stays off the curb, but what he's found in traction he's not found in line. And look at Thacker. Thacker's really closed in on Marshall, so I think it's going to be Marshall that's under threat, not the other way around.
Wonder if Marshall's accidentally put his rain light on, because I can just see it flash constantly. So I do wonder what's happened there. That might be a tactic to confuse the drivers just a little bit, because you never really get. If you see something flashing like that, you might not catch it from this angle. But I reckon it'll be quite off-putting for the drivers behind.
Now, we did just catch it coming down the straight. Those ahead, we're down to 5 drivers left to pit. All of those that were occupying the top spot, so Jablonski and Harris are our main concern here, because those are the ones that might throw the cat amongst the pigeons for maybe Lino and Sharp and Brown.
I think it was unseen by us, but Francois Bon has relieved Václav Pospisil of the lead in Pro. So, I think it's just now about seeing exactly where Jablonski feeds back out, but I'd be really surprised if he's not in the lead when they come around, because Duda's a long way behind Harris, and he's got now 17 seconds on Owen Harris, who's not disgraced himself at all. It's an excellent drive, but Jablonski's been on another planet. He's about 40 seconds clear of Duda, but it should be a fairly comfortable lead.
That is Coppens now coming into the pits. So that 5 now becomes 4. I expect Coppens to maybe enter the battle with Merschel and Kazakevich and Thacker. Speaking of Thacker, though, Brush Tully's coming for him into the final turn. And great traction from the Porsche, great front end. And now Brush Tully already on the back of Merschel. And he's going to get 2 in the space of the same amount of corners.
Yeah, it felt like Marshall misfired coming off there, because that was a bit strange. I think he might have shifted up. Brush Tully had remugged Eden going a little bit further around the lap.
On the inside of Marshall, that's going to really close up. Eden, I think, would have wanted to move there, but Eden's going to fight it on the exit, but hasn't quite got the traction to get in there. I think he saw the move happening, and as much as he wanted to make a move, he couldn't, because the way was blocked. Gandalf said, "You shall not pass."
Yeah, I do wonder whether Marshall might have a problem, because he's been mugged rather easily going, in 2 consecutive straights, hasn't he? Something to watch out for there. As I think some of the
as at car 84,
Crossman. That's Crossman. It completes a rather miserable day, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Poor Daniel Crossman. Not been the good sequel to what was a really promising performance last week. And it's for one reason or another, he's not been his night.
I've just seen Owen Harris finally committing to the pits. So this holds a lot of interest for the rest of the grid as to where those... And he is coming back out again. That is sharp.
He is a mile clear of where he needs to be. He's the length of the straight clear of Thacker, so that's good because it's only Duda who's gone past, but Duda still has to make his pit stop. So, yeah, he is well clear of where he needs to be. So excellent stint there from Owen Harris. And if he decides the commentary doesn't work out for him, then I think he's got a future in driving.
At least in Sprint Sunday. So he filters down to ahead of Kelleher, who also pitted that lap. So someone who he was maybe saw in his wing mirrors earlier on in the race, but he's got familiar company in Gordon Brown coming up behind him, and I suspect Duda should be pitting relatively soon because the pit window's only got 7 minutes left on it.
Yeah, it won't be too long for him. But Duda, I think he had started to build a gap to Kelleher and to Thacker as well. I think behind. I think Kelleher's dropped behind Coppens and Kalugin, so that's shook out rather as you'd expect. Duda had started to build a gap, so maybe he wants to keep as much momentum as possible, and then only have to deal with a loss of momentum over the next couple of laps. But he has got quicker drivers behind him in the form of DuPont and Pospisil.
So I've also caught Kalugin in the last few corners really close in on the back of Andrew Eden. So this could be a move in the making. As we see Merschel going off the track. Merschel getting up on the curving of turn 12 and off he goes.
Yep, how's the rejoin? Not the worst. I think he's come out behind Coppens and Kelleher though, so that's really ruined what was looking like a promising sprint. Now, I had seen that the battle for sixth between Lino in silver, second in silver, and Sharp, who's currently fourth in pro, is hotting up. If Sharp can clear Lino, then he might have a run at Wazza and Pospisil ahead for the podium, which would rescue a race that had been ruined on the second lap through contact for Adam Sharp if he can get this done.
Yeah, so he ideally needs this to put himself on the back of everybody else in his tier, which he really reckons that he should be alongside. He knows where he is in the pecking order on pace, but the racing really hasn't played out for him well tonight, having incidents and traffic to deal with. But this should be a relatively routine move on Lino when it comes round to it, but he needs to get it done ASAP if he wants any chance of chasing down Wazza, Pospisil, DuPont, which are not too far down the road.
Yeah, it's a decent quality line that from Adam, but I think he might want to perhaps go a little bit deeper and a little bit wider and have a slightly longer apex, longer straight when it does get around, because what is he, half a second behind Lino? He might have to force him into a mistake. Lino's got no reason to move out of the way, but he is second, so might fancy keeping that momentum that we talk about, even if he is well clear of third place in class Handley. We've also got, I think, a battle. Have we got a bit of a battle between Kazakevich no, not quite, into P1. I thought Kazakevich might have had a run on Donkin in P12.
We have a stop and go for Duda. So that has blown it wide open. So Duda, originally looking for possibly a podium in the AM class, is going to really lose out now. He's already losing that position to Harris just through the pit cycle. But staying out in front of Thacker, gone, and then the remaining group of Kalugin through to Trotman, I reckon, is also a distant memory now.
Yeah, he'd come out about fifth in class, so that's really, really ruined it for him. You've got Thacker and Kalugin. I think he'd come out fourth behind Kalugin. So, yeah, that's really ruined it. That was what was a really strong race for Duda, who has been short on results.
As we see Kazakevich really diving it on Donkin into turn 8. And as he comes through turn 11, Kazakevich looking for absolutely every opportunity. And he spooked him out of turn 11. And now he's going to find himself to the inside entering turn 12. They're surely not going to go side by side. Oh, they have a good touch mid-corner just for good measure. And Bruce Tully could take both here. Bruce Tully lining up for the inside move.
That was him up, back up, but he goes 3 wide down the inside.
There's a few touches.
Scares Donkin out of the way.
And Donkin losing 2 positions down the back straight into the last turn. And I think Bruce Tully should have had the traction there, but the other 2 cars are coming back at him fast. And Donkin, with the superior straight line speed of the Mustang, gets himself back ahead at least of Kazakevich. Sins done, sins redeemed for Donkin.
Yeah, opportunism there at its best from Bruce Tully. Down the inside, I was about to say, and shows what I know, that he might want to maybe stay back and lengthen the straight, but he goes down the inside, spots the opportunity, blocks past them both, and Donkin really had nowhere to go once he was surrounded, to be honest, by Porsches. Excellent driving from the 3 of them.
So I've just picked up Kelleher. I think that red car there.
That's Coppens.
That's Coppens, but he is right. So yeah, it's finally updated.
So Marshall had passed Coppens, I think, earlier in the lap, and that held Coppens up. So Kelleher now fancying a run at what would be, I think, P6 in class.
Yeah. So this paction, there's still great racing to be had towards the back of the grid in FRL Super Sprint Sunday, and this is going to go all the way to the end. I think obviously Trotman quite far behind Kelleher, so it's not all one big pack, but Kelleher through to Kalugin. It's all to play for.
I think that's due to clearing the stop go. Jablonski's got
Brown trying to go around the outside of Harris into turn 2. Harris still keeping his nose on the inside. Harris getting his nose fully ahead, and I think he will claim the corner for turn 4. Oh, as Brown narrowly misses him. What was that about? Admin or no admin? That was something quite hairy for Harris to have to look at in his mirror. And now, with marbles on his tyres, brings it back, and he's let Hanley through as well.
Yeah, knowing Gordon as I do, I think that's a case of realising he braked too late. Gordon's quite good at recognising when he does brake too late. He tends to sort of move out of the way and tries to penalise himself before he penalises anybody else. So decent driving there from Gordon. If that is indeed what's happened there, it's Duda in the middle there after his early stop goes. So no threat to Hanley, and Gordon can have another go at it should he wish. Owen still prepared to fight despite the class difference. That is big. That's Jablonski. That is Jablonski with a stop-go penalty, and that has handed victory to Marcolino. Oh, that's disaster for the Malib McLaren in the silver class.
I can't believe it.
Overall victory gone in the blink of an eye. That'll put him all the way back to, I think, probably behind Brush Tully, Donkin, Starclough, depending on how that's applied. Oh, that is disaster for Jablonski.
No, it's even worse. It's even worse than that. He's not going to get to serve it. There is not enough time left.
That has to be added on at the end of the race. I don't know how ACC does it with a drive-through. It's 30 seconds, but we're about to learn probably the hardest way possible how a stop-go is applied at the end of the race.
I believe it's 130 seconds.
Oh, that's 2 minutes. Oh, that's cruel. That's 2 minutes. That would put him... Well, you can forget the race. Jablonski, you can forget the race. And what was a routine? He didn't even need to do it. I can only assume there's an error there. Maybe he was in second gear, didn't put the limiter on. But there's no way that he would have... Surely no way that he would have sped... by braking too late. There must have been another error, but
potentially an upshift after the line, or potentially it's easily done. I've done it many a times myself, regrettably. But back to the action, and instead of lamenting on Jablonski,
that's Wazza, isn't it, going on the back of Poshby Shield. That could be an interesting battle for what is now second in class. The Bentley's got so much power, and I think he'll have a run around the outside.
Bobby still goes defensive on the inside, but Wazza finds his way to the outside on the marbles. Hopefully his tyres will be good by the time he gets to the corner. Braking at absolutely equal points. Synchronised driving around turn 1. Highly respectful. What could the Porsche do instead of braking to the outside? Does he try and cut back? He does not. And Wazza is through on the last lap of the race. What a great
doesn't
move.
get fairer than that from Posh Brazil and Wazza. Excellent drive between the two, because Wazza could have tried to run him off and out of road. Posh Brazil, by the same token, could have, squeezed when there wasn't any squeezing to be done, and that is great driving from the pair of them. Gutting for Posh Brazil, mine, but Wazza there with a thoroughly deserved second in class. Excellent driving from the pair of them.
And keeping appearances, Sharp never did quite get past Lino. He is chasing them all the way to the line, but it looks like Sharp's going to have to settle for a P4 in class, because he is... Well, you can see Popper's still ahead. Popper's still... I'm not sure how much he's struggling there, because he's dropped right off the back of Wazza after that interaction. But we will go forward to De Bont, who is going to come home to win this race with a reasonable margin in the end of about 5 seconds over Wazza, who took quite some time to get past Popsicle, not through lack of trying, but De Bont coming all the way.
Added on for Jablonski. 1 whole minute.
1 whole minute.
Ouch.
Oh god, no. And De Bont comes home for the win. Wazza for a well at P2. Lino P3. Sharp backs off, acknowledges the challenge, and done. And Owen Harris comes home for a AM tier win. Great debut for him in the Super Sprint Sunday, and what will be a silver tier win for Lino.
Thoroughly deserved.
Oh, and coming towards the line, Handley trying to trying to see off Brush Tully, and does just about make it. And Gedman about to test the barrier, as he always does, very well. And then we get the... Oh my goodness, we missed it just over the line there. But Kalugin just saw off Thacker for P2 in the AM class by 0.02 of a second. And Marshall...
traction for you, isn't it? So I think we're getting a couple of stragglers coming across the line. Marshall now coming into... Well, he's into turn 2, so he's crossed the line. Is it Kelleher versus Hymans? Kelleher holds off the pro driver. Kudos. Kudos well there for Dale Kelleher. Holds off the pro driver. No, Hymans had problems, but that's really well done from Dale Kelleher. So we've got now 17th. Oh dear. That for Jablonski, that is 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th. That's 7th in class from a position as commanding as that. He will be gutted. I can tell you now, he will be gutted because he'd driven the perfect race for 38 minutes.
I mean, aside from adding extra pace, I mean, he extended from everybody they felt he needed to. I mean, do I think he would have won the overall race? No, probably not. I think De Bont and Wazza and Podpasil definitely were coming through on that, but I think... I really do think...
He crossed the line first. He was 12 seconds clear. So all he had to do was keep it at the right speed limit throughout the pit lane, and he would have had an overall win, in my personal opinion, because he was 12 seconds clear, so he didn't need to do anything special.
Oh, absolute disaster. But there you have everybody. I'm just going to quickly grab the highlights.
We did get an interview request from Daniel Crossman, although that was before the evening's action. Whether or not he wants to talk to us now, I don't know.
Well, I think it would also involve admin adding him to this voice chat, so would need, I think it was either Gedman or Brown that wanted to come and join us after the race. But wow, a very, very entertaining race, very tactical, clear and obvious strategies from those at the front of the grid. But obviously, drama for Jablonski. I think I might just download the replay as well, because we might be able to see exactly where he where and how he sped as well. But we'll go back.
The blast from the past.
As we have many well-known names joining the commentary box now. We've got Mr. Gordon Brown, and we have the former co-commentator to the league, my good friend Owen Harris. So I think we'll go for track position purposes. We'll go to Owen Harris first. So how chuffed are you with that, pal?
In all honesty, I don't know how stream sensitive my reaction can be, but as Jeremy Clarkson said, all the poos came out when G Brown nearly put his Lamborghini into the back of my McLaren, I thought he was going to make me retire from racing and stay in the commentary box.
Yeah. Send you into early paternity leave, yeah?
Yeah, something like that. But all in all, race 1, I mean, I had that little incident with Serpentine, so obviously big apologies for that, buddy. Race 2, obviously reverse grid. Not done this format before, obviously commentated over it, but obviously racing it is a different beast. I mean, I had quite a tame race 2, got the job done, got the win, so I'm happy.
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine you fought. His name's dropped my head already. What's his name? Come on, help me out, Jack. Jablonski. Obviously, I can't imagine you fought Jablonski too hard on the.
It wasn't on the agenda. I mean, obviously got quite a lucky start in race 2. Obviously, Serpentine getting that drive through, and obviously the other Ferrari getting quite an interesting start as well. So made up quite a few places straight away. I think I started 4th for race 2, and I was already up into P1 by lap 2. So just kind of got my head down and didn't really tend to waste too much time worrying about Jablonski, because obviously he is obviously an absolute machine behind the McLaren. I wish I had his McLaren, not my one, but you know.
Well, obviously you would have caught it ahead. He ended up suffering a 30-second stop go for speeding in the pit lane, so absolute brutal for him. See, I don't think that would have played too much into your finishing position, because I think obviously he would have ended up ahead of you, and he did, but it wasn't really for your benefit, him getting that drive through, other than the overall standings. But we do throw now to Mr. Gordon Brown, who's got some explaining to do to Mr. Harris.
Absolutely not. He'll notice and take note that I chose to sacrifice myself than him.
Oh no, I do. I'll give you absolute props for awareness on point. My awareness is like a wombat, and that's disrespectful to wombats, but I mean, honestly, mate, 10 out of 10. I saw it coming, and I just clenched. I thought, oh no.
As we did just see, as we saw another admin getting turned just then, in Gedman. Turn 4.
Gordon, if I can, when do you make the decision to deliberately accelerate into the braking zone to get yourself out of harm's way? Because I said in the stream that I thought that you'd done that. I thought that you'd sped up and moved out of the or tried to sort of get Owen out of harm's way. When do you make that decision? How sort of considered is it?
Almost knee-jerk reaction, I think. You see the back end of his, I think it was Weller he's got on the side of his car.
Yeah, the sporting the 2025 livery.
On the screen. Seeing it come up, the rear wing approaches very quickly, and it's the case, right, open the steer in so you don't lock the brakes up, go straight, and then you can get your car slow down a little bit better. Again, I ran a bit wide, but you know, it's better to lose 5 seconds and lose 20 seconds recovering from the spin.
I mean, what was the original intention there? Was it to make the move, or was it to? Oh my goodness! was the move?
That's got to be track limits.
Speaking of track limits, did either of you two pick up that many?
Yes, 3.
Yeah, I did. Battling Brown.
Yeah, I picked up 1 battle in Owen as well. I ran with about 3 track limits for the last 10 minutes, I think it was. But that's nothing. At Mazzano and Taco Tuesday, I ran for 47 minutes with 3 track warnings. So
I did something like
10
that.
minutes is nothing.
On Tuesday.
But yeah, it was very good actually to see you on track and battle with you, because I've never actually been able to wheel with you. So I hope, like you said, you give me props for it, and I appreciate it. I hope you realise that some people around here do actually have some kind of awareness. They don't just go gung-ho.
Oh no, but it's just at the end of the day, it's what we obviously, from a commentator's point of view and obviously a racer's point of view, it's FRL's motto, isn't it? It's sim racing at its very best. And that's the tip of the hat of sportsmanship. Alright, I did have that moment with Serpentine in race 1, but I waited for him to get back going again before I resume my race.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people will do that, which what separates the men and the boys.
Yeah, exactly. And I'll always take the opportunity to sacrifice myself rather than someone else, and I've made a mistake, which I did.
Speaking of sacrifice, I think we're about to catch. I think we were about to catch you getting chased down by Wazza and Sharp here.
Yeah, I want to talk about Sharp's move because I'm not going to lie, that is incredible. I don't know if you caught it on the stream.
I think we might have done, but I'm only 50-50.
If you did, I need to set the picture because he needs credit for it because it was brilliant. So coming up through turn 1, there was an AM and a silver battling ahead of us, and I think the silver driver let us go, sensing we might get an opportunity to get past the AM if we could go way fast. Fair enough, it's been done, but that's fine. But it took me way out of position. I had to go round the outside of turn 1, which made me slow down. The car in front realises that this is what's happening and moves off the racing line to let me through, and Sharp goes down the inside through wide. So I held him off for about 4 laps, just hitting every apex, and he couldn't get past.
So I'm just watching.
The apex opened up.
Just watching Harris do his Max Verstappen Mexico around turn 1, just taking the wide line, taking the speed, and getting the job done. But obviously, he was never going to catch Serpentine with the jump start that he did.
I just want to say though, I don't know if it was a glitch or just people just got the start that wrong, but the start lineup was so all over the place. No one was really side by side. There was a big gap in the middle.
Yeah, I mean, turn 1 was a strange one. There's a lot going on, wasn't there?
Yeah, you had Daniel Crossman being turned.
Yep, I got all of that in my mirror. Yep, I just drove past. I went past the outside of him. I went, oh, he's facing the wrong way. It's like that meme with the 2 people looking at each other in the cars, like the woman in the car. I don't know if you've seen it. They're both staring at each other as they go past and surprised. I could see the white of his eyeballs as he's just rolling backwards on the curb, on the racing line. And I looked in my mirror and just seen some yellow. I was a yellow car plough straight into his bonnet. So, yeah, he's not done brilliantly there.
But I did say I'd have a look at it. Exactly what lost. His name's escaped me again.
Jasmine?
Crossman.
No, not Crossman. Our gentleman that lost the race lead tonight.
Vermeulen.
No, in the second race.
Yablonski.
That'll be Yablonski, won't it?
Yeah, so I'm just going to go on board with Yablonski for his pit because it was...
I think it must have been on entry because it was a stop go as opposed to a drive through, and it's usually only a drive through if it's a speeding out. Usually it's a stop go if it's speeding in. So I can only assume that he hasn't shifted to second. This is my uneducated guess. I can only assume that that's what's happened, and he's not shifted down into first.
Did he miss the pit window? No.
No,
he was in on time.
Oh, that's too fast.
That's way too fast.
But in all honesty, my pit stop caught me out. I think they must have changed my McLaren pit crew to the Red Bull crew because I was in and out in a flash.
Oh, he removed his pit limiter.
He's disengaged his pit limiter.
Yeah.
Oh, and that's cost him everything because he actually did come out quite far ahead of even the pros at the end. So
I think either he's flicked the button trying to turn repair and damage off, or not changing tyres. He's maybe flicked the pit limiter button by accident, or he's got a button assigned to the wheel and he's just hit it by accident. It looks like there.
And that is how a legendary win got taken away.
So it made me excited. It's a good one to watch back.
It is. It was a very good call. Plenty of battles, plenty of people on quick assertions onto the cars ahead of them. Really interesting one to watch. People who you wouldn't expect to make errors, making errors, and people you don't usually expect to be pressing on quite as hard as they did, making a position. So I think Crossman then got caught in a 3 wide into turn 1, which is where that one came about. And obviously not wishing that Vermeulen ever drops out of the race, but his exit from the race by disconnection definitely spiced up the prospective win opportunities, because he was really powering through, and I think was well on for overtaking even Jablonski for the lead towards the back end of the race there. But his absence really opened it up for that silver tier driver to take the win. And then obviously with Jablonski again, that penalty, that's 2 squandered opportunities for a win, but one from Vermeulen with the disconnection and one with Jablonski with the pit entry.
Yeah, I mean, I'm all saying that there's this split, this reverse grid. It's taken a couple of seasons to come good, right? There's been a lot of difficulty of drivers adjusting, but I think they've just about got the hang of it now.
I think the pit has helped dramatically, just to put people on a different track for getting through, and just even jumping the few people that have too much of a big delta has allowed them to skip those people and be a bit more on pace with those they actually do have to go through.
Yes, well, I will say that I am pitting lap 1 for every single race the rest of the season. The people around me pitted lap 1 and then came out. When I came out the pits, they were 8 seconds down the road. So it's definitely something I think I'm going to employ. I mean, I definitely don't have the pace of Wazzer or Sharp, but it looks to be an advantage to pit early, unless you're at the front.
Well, that's the thing. I was just about to come in and say that obviously Owen here did obviously pit in the later laps and made good on his clean air.
Oh.
Yep.
Big crash, yes.
I do think you've at least got a handful of incidents to review from this evening. Just small ones. I don't think I saw anything major.
Yeah, Owen's getting ticketed for having a wheel wing not within regulation, I think. It was too wide, far too wide.
Mate, I may not have the pace, but I will stick my elbows and knees out just to make honestly, it fair and honest.
It was good, honestly. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Don't twist it at all. I'm not moany like that. If I'm fighting someone, I'm happy.
Oh, no. So I've said the same with Gedman as well. I think we had a real proper, I wouldn't say messy scrap, but it was all in good faith on Laguna Seca, and I really enjoyed it. So the fact that obviously the overall championship, we do have a bit of bragging rights over each other, just a bit of fun. It's not anything harmful in any way, it's just a bit of fun at the end of the day.
And I can't help but notice for the next round, would you have a bit of a specialty, Brown, if you want to highlight that?
I'm so scared because I've been put on the spot and I've no idea what we're going on.
So we've got it down for a 60-minute asterisk, so it's a...
Oh hell no, that's wrong. That needs changed. Is that St. Bathurst as a 60-minute race?
No, Barcelona.
No, it's Bathurst next. We was having this discussion in our party chat earlier, because we always make the same mistake and go from left to right as the rounds go on, but no, it goes left all the way down and then all the way down on the right. Please
direct all your criticisms to the artwork for the calendar this season towards Mr. Gedman.
No. Not to be a negative Nelly,
no,
but
I am.
It is a little bit confusing because I went tonight and thought, oh, it was Mazzano last week, so it must be Watkins Glen. I quite like Watkins Glen. Signed up, went, oh, it's Valencia. Rats.
You got a win, brilliant.
You got a win. Maybe you need to dislike the track on entry more often.
Well, so, things can happen.
You raise a fantastic point. I did raise this when it was made. Have any of you guys used Canva?
I've tried.
We're not promoting this, and we're not making it sound bad. We're just talking about it in general. So you've tried to use Canva, okay? So Gedman created that calendar. I explained that it looks confusing, and he went, "I'm not going back on Canva. I'm done." Which I completely understand. So you can deal with it.
No, I'm not going to comment on the usability. All I'll say is I attempted to use it during my work day.
Let's say it's much easier. It's compatible with phones, but it's much more suited to a desktop with a mouse. Let's leave it at that.
Yes. Anyway, before we get ourselves cancelled for criticising media creation, we are going to attempt to go on to wrap up the stream. So thank you.
Guys. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much, Bram. And thank you very much, Owen, and well done.
Thank you very much. See you guys next week.
See you next week. So everybody, that was your SimNet Super Sprint Sunday. That was round 3 at Valencia. This extra special GP circuit has offered you up 2 fantastic sprint races. Plenty of wins, spills, and plenty of battling. Do make sure you like, subscribe, share with your friends and family, hit that notification bell to be notified whenever FRL goes online so you don't miss any of the action. If you're already part of the server, do make sure you consider joining the Patreon, just £3 a month for those special perks we mentioned earlier. Your special race number, early access into events, and your own practice server to go practice in, provided by FRL. If you're not already part of the community, do consider doing so. You reach out on the comments, and the admin do monitor the comments for the stream, so they will send you a Discord link and or a SimGrid link if you want to get involved. We do more than just ACC. We do ACC Evo, iRacing, etc. So plenty for you to get involved in most days of the week. And yeah, make sure you're here next week for, as just discussed, the same format around Bathurst for round 4. Bathurst, super tricky circuit, and I hope you all enjoy it. I've been Greg, otherwise known as the Woofafa.
I've been Jack, otherwise, J Prentice 678.
And we look forward to seeing you all on the next one. Goodbye now.
Bye.